Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today I'm asking the question, should we be killing off traditional communication like the telephone? Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is I recently read an article, literally this morning, that I thought was absolutely interesting. Now, we have seen an increase in robocalls, pretty much awareness in the news of this. It's been a serious problem, but while it's a nuisance for a lot of us, when it comes to very critical organizations like hospitals, robocalls can literally be deadly. So, Tufts University, as an example, had 4,500 robocalls between about a 3 to 4 hour period in April of last year. These calls ended up being a scam, but what ended up happening was it was tying up lines, which means patients couldn't call doctors, and if there was an emergency or anything like that, that would have been a very serious issue that we would have faced. But here's the thing. The reason why I'm talking about this or thinking about this is that as I'm looking at my life day to day, and this is true for virtually everybody. In fact, in 2015, Pew did research on this that I'll get to in a moment. I don't really use my phone nearly as much as I use, let's say Zoom, Skype, those kinds of things. Emailing, other forms of communication. Some people use Microsoft Teams or Slack or all of these to basically stay in touch with whoever they need to stay in touch with. And I think that's a pretty interesting tell. Now, that Pew research I was mentioning in 2015 says that over 70% of Americans, specifically millennials, would rather go basically to an app for communication than actually use a traditional phone call. And I think that's very telling. And so here are some of the issues I think that we have with phones right now is a sense that we really don't have any kind of filter on there. Everything that we have is pretty much layered over the existing number. But if you know my phone number, you can call it and it will ring my phone. So it's very difficult to put some kind of filter in front of that. Now, we have caller ID. I use the one from Verizon that tells me if I have potential spam. So I don't pick up the phone, but I think most of us, as we're going on through our everly increasing busy days, usually see, phone calls come in and say, I'll get to that later, when a lot of phone calls could simply be a text message, an email, another form of communication. And so I'm wondering if this is something that we should just simply do away with, because we can't really create a gatekeeper in the same way that we can create a gatekeeper with other systems and platforms. You have to connect to me, on a system in order to have communication with me. And if you don't know me, you have to send me a request that I can then filter through without alerting me, interrupting a day, all that kind of stuff. So I'm very curious to know what you guys think about this. But if I'm looking at this, I don't think we're going to have traditional phones or phone numbers, in the future. And so the question is, what does that look like? When does that happen? Should we start that process now? Most of us don't have landlines anymore. My house, for example, has mobile phones. That's it. And that's all we've got. We don't have a landline. We don't need a landline, and our internet connection is not going through the phone company. So there you go. So take that for what it's worth. But I think that's an interesting question that we need to ask, basically society-wide. When are we going to get rid of phones? And why can't it be sooner? Because clearly the phone companies have no real way or easy way of policing all of the robocalls, the spam, the phishing, and all of that. And unfortunately, a lot of the people that fall for them are the elderly, who overwhelmingly use phones because that's what they know more than they would a communications app. And so maybe it comes with the ending of that generation as the Gen Xers come into power. I don't know. You tell me. So that is your news of the day. Take it for what it's worth. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.